Hey guys, Peter here to do a streaming review. Epica Omega Live, dubbed the biggest performance in streaming services of this pandemic as far as metal bands are concerned. Guess what? They delivered on that promise. I don't think any band has even come close to what these guys put together for this show. They started off the night by having Off the Cross, a band opening up with a couple of tracks, and I thought that was a nice idea. I haven't seen that yet so far during one of these streaming performances, and I thought that was a little bit different, but it allowed you to kind of get into the mood of the main course, of that main show, that Epica performance that everybody was looking forward to. Now, once we got into that show, what did we get? Well, we got a performance that was divided into 5 different acts: Overtura, Magnitude, Elysia, Gravita, and Alpha and Omega. So they took the first letter of the word Omega, they broke it down into 5 acts, and that was the overall setup that you had for the overall performance. Now, each act had its own set list, and a set list that really worked well within itself. The songs have a lot of similarities. They had a lot of same atmosphere to them, if you will. Musically, they were very compact. They were very equal to one another. So there was not one song that really represented something that was not being represented by the other tracks within that act. And then to go with that, they had a different stage. They had a different setup. They dressed differently. Everything about what was happening was really to bring that act, that piece of the pie to life, if you will. And then what you got with the second act was different than the first act, not just musically, but also visually. The set changes, the way they look changes, the performances that are happening, because they have people hanging from the ceiling, running around, backup singers, choirs, they have all sorts of stuff. I mean, this was almost like watching a Cirque du Soleil merger with Epica. That's how it felt. And then on top of that, they added more pyro than what you would get out of Apocalypse Now. So if this is not painting a picture of one, if not the biggest streaming concert ever, specifically now during this pandemic, I don't know what will. I mean, this was off the charts musically, off the charts from a performance perspective, off the charts as far as the different sets go, off the chart as far as what was happening behind the scenes with all the different performers that they have. The pyro, they had these 2 huge metal cobras with fire coming out of their mouths and smoke coming out of their mouths. I mean, they had a piano on fire. The only way this could be any better is if the piano was on fire underwater. I don't think this is even possible, but if somebody could do it, Epica would be able to achieve that, because after what I saw today, I think these guys can do whatever the hell they want to do. I don't think the sky is not even the limit. There's no freaking limit for what they can do. This show was outstanding. Now, you could have never done this during a tour, because you would need at least 4 sets, because the production of the first act was equal to the production of the last act. So you need at least 4 different ones rotating in order for you to pull this off during a tour. The show was 2 hours long. I don't see how you could do this night in and night out during a live tour. It would be nearly impossible to do. Now, they could have done this on a one-off, or they can still do this on a one-off concert in front of a live audience, but it would be very difficult. You would have to have a rotating stage in order for them to work on one setup, for example, for Act 2 while they're performing Act 1. And then once they move into Act 2, then you could rotate it again and work on Act 3. It would take a huge amount of work. I mean, this is like Cirque du Soleil level grandiose production, so it would be almost impossible to do. I don't think impossible is a word that Epica even recognizes as a valid word, considering what I saw today, but it would be very hard to pull it off. Now, in the setting in which they did, which you can record one act, then record the second act, you can do it on different days, you can do it on same days, you have a lot more variety and you have a lot more freedom in order to really pull it off, and pull it off at the level that they did. So I really like thinking outside the box, creating something very unique, very different. No band has even come close to it, and this to me was just one of the most outstanding performances ever, regardless if it's a streaming performance, regardless if you're watching something on YouTube, regardless if it's a DVD or if you're there in person. This was just something for the ages. I honestly hope that they turn this into a DVD and they do something with it, because this deserves to be recognized, to be immortalized for future generations. This is just outstanding. Like I keep saying that word, but I'm running out of adjectives to qualify what it meant to sit there and watch them pull off 2 hours of incredible music, incredible performances, incredible production. Everything about this event was just beyond imaginary. Like not in my wildest dreams I could have conceived this. I can only imagine the amount of work that went into it. Not just creating the acts, choosing the songs that went into those acts, then the whole stage, having different stages for the different acts, and then the production behind it, the dancers, the choirs, the singing, the flags, like I said, the flaming piano, like all of this stuff. It takes huge amount of work to pull it off and to do it in the way that they did. Now, as I'm going through it, and my jaw continues to drop to the ground with every single act that's passing, because when I think that the first act, it was incredible, the second act adds something that I hadn't seen before, and I become even more shocked than what I was already. And then the third act does the same. I think the one perhaps that hit me the hardest was Act 4, specifically the song Rivers. It was incredible, the setup, like the darkness that it had, the choir singing, the different vocalists there, like everything that they created, it was just incredible to me. I had goosebumps listening to that song, watching what I was seeing in front of me. I couldn't believe how they pulled this off, how they created this, and then how they transitioned to the next track. Absolutely phenomenal. Every song had its moment. Every song was magnificent. Every act had its climax. But Rivers to me was a song that really touched me because the performance felt so genuine. It felt so organic. It felt so natural. It was almost like it was always meant to be done in that format. So I absolutely loved it. And then they closed off the night with, I would consider this worthy of the Olympics. This was like a closing ceremony at the Olympic Games. Not just the song, but the way they presented with all the pyro. I mean, everything that we saw throughout the night came together at the last track in order to make this closing just something out of this world. The pyro, the dancers, the flags, the stage, how it looked like, their own performance of the song, just outstanding, incredible. It was something that I didn't think they were going to pull it off that way. I thought that the evening was going to end with them thanking the fans and thanking everybody that took the time to purchase a ticket and watch the show. That's kind of how I thought it was going to go. Almost very similar to the way it happens during a live show. Like going around thanking all the band members, thanking everybody that made it happen, and that's kind of like how you close the night. They didn't. I mean, I shouldn't be shocked that they went in a completely different way. They went in a completely different path. They brought everything that was done throughout the night, as far as the production goes, as far as performance are concerned, and they put it into one song in order to make this song just as big, as explosive as possible. There was so many things happening at the same time on that stage. My eyes keep moving from one side to the other. I didn't know to which thing I should concentrate on. I just thought that I hadn't seen anything as big as that, unless I'm watching the Olympics and I'm watching the closing ceremonies or the halftime show at the Super Bowl. I mean, it was that big. It was that crazy as far as the amount of pyro, the amount of people that were on stage, the overall production, and how they executed. Just incredible streaming performance by Epica. They didn't disappoint. They set the bar. They really promoted this show as being something that nobody had ever seen before, and by God, they delivered it. All right, now for those of you at home that are fans of Epica but didn't get a chance to see this performance, it's still available. Go to their website. I'm going to put the links in the description of this video. Do yourself a favor, sign up, buy a ticket, and watch this. Set 2 hours apart, sit down and watch this, and see your jaw drop to the ground with every single song, with every single act that goes by. Once again, I just hope that they turn this into a DVD, they make this a deluxe box set, do something. But future generations need to see this performance. They need to see something good that came out of the darkness of this pandemic. This is it, guys. I'll see you at the next video.